If you're watching this video, you've likely either seen Big Fry's or Math Chief's video on World War III, and I wanted to address the topic a bit more since I've been following the production of this game. The cliff notes of those videos are that they talk about how World War III was pulled from the store after the game struggled and was riddled with bugs and had server issues, and the devs have pretty much been silent since then. I have several videos on the overall development of that game, and you can go back and watch those if you want, because in those I talk about some of the things that were released to investors that gives us just some insight into what's going on, what's coming in the game, most notably a console release with crossplay, current closed and future open beta testing, and an expected free-to-play release. But regardless of all that information, the question still arises. When the game is released in the near future, will it survive the new Battlefield 2042? Let's talk about that, and I'll tell you what I think the game needs to facilitate a strong launch. Alright gamers, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tacti. If you're new here, and even if you're not, click that subscribe button for primarily hardcore tactical shooter content. So World War III. It's currently not a secret that they've missed their opportune window. The fumbled Battlefield 5 release would have been the absolute perfect time for this modern shooter to thrive, in a time that modern shooters were pretty barren in the field. But, of course, that didn't happen, and everybody's got to live with it. The only thing left is the future. The game is expected to release soon, maybe this fall, but we'll talk about that here in a second, though nothing has been confirmed yet. Battlefield 2042 has been shown off, and while there are still a whole lot of things we don't know about Battlefield, from what we've seen, I gotta admit, it looks very, very nice. There's a lot of things going on, and a lot of mechanics, it appears, that just the Farm 51 aren't able to implement because of the size of the studio and obviously any limitations that the Unreal Engine offers. So with that in mind, let me explain a little bit what I believe will help World War III set it apart a little bit and prepare it for better success. Because obviously, even if these two games are two separate games with notable differences, they're still going to draw from the same audience, that audience that wants those modern shooters. So the question to answer is, how is the game going to draw the most amount of people towards it and away from Battlefield? Because personally, and I am certainly a little bit biased because this game is it holds a special place to me, but I'm confident this game can pull a vast amount of players if done correctly. Let's start with the pricing model. Now, there have been some reports that there may be a free-to-play mode in Battlefield. Obviously, if DICE is smart, they'll play off the momentum that Warzone created with their free-to-play environment, and they'll have their own in there. However, it will likely just be a single mode or a single game type. World War III, on the other hand, will likely be a full game with numerous game types and features. And so the first thing that this game must do is offer top-notch quality with a free-to-play price tag. I know that, again, this is very likely, this has already been touched upon the way that the devs have worded some things. It's not officially confirmed yet, but a free-to-play model will allow for any player to just download and play. Certainly it would be tough to get people to pay for this game, especially if they've already bought it once and there's a bad taste in people's mouth, but there's really just no reason to pay for this game if you're going to be playing Battlefield and you bought Battlefield. So I think free-to-play, it's gotta happen. It's foundational to the success. To go along with this a little bit, the microtransaction system has to be top-notch, purposeful, stunning to look at, and most of all, it can't be pay to win. Pay to win, obviously, is going to ruin this game like any other free-to-play title out there. This has never really been a concern of mine and should be common sense, but I figured I'd throw it in there anyway. It's gotta have a system that I want to be a part of because I enjoy the game so much. It can't sucker me in with buying weapons, especially if they're going to be the best in the game. Nothing like that. And really, I think My.Games currently has a bad rep in this area because of Warface. I think a lot of people think that game is pay to win, so I think it'd be foolish, and I doubt they want to take this game and go that route. Which brings me to my next point, performance. Remember those movements we saw way back when? Yeah, it needs to have fluid movements like this. All the way around. No bugs, no glitches, no getting stuck behind objects. The movements and animations have got to be nearly flawless if this game is going to compete. That means reloads with the appropriate mechanisms, bolts that lock back when you're empty, mags that are retained when you haven't gone through the whole magazine. Everything has to be fine-tuned to a meticulous amount so that people are in awe of how much accuracy and attention to detail are put into these animations and these movements. Clipping has got to be minimalized. Moving on to something else that also needs to be top-notch, the servers. This is probably the most important factor above anything else. No infinite loading screens, no server lags, 60 Hz, at least 64 players, all running smoothly. With thousands and thousands of players online at one time, it's gotta be smooth. This has gotta happen or the bad taste in people's mouths just gets worse. This coincides with optimization as well. The game has gotta run on all systems with ease. The previous version was a lean, mean, computer-eating machine. So this system has got to be so well optimized that bugs are minimal. I expect that to be the case anyway because the game is apparently releasing on consoles as well. So if it can run on consoles, hopefully it can do the same on a PC. Now let's move on and talk a little bit about the marketing of the game, just before I talk about the release date. Here's where the farm can really play off Battlefield's strengths and make it a perceived weakness, at least when comparing the two and garnering attention of people so that people decide to give it a shot. One of the strongest points of the Battlefield gameplay trailer was a focus on the environment and new flashy mechanics that the game is going to offer. In this, they hardly showcased any gunplay because there were only a total of maybe 6 rounds shot through the barrel of a gun in the trailer. World War III has got to play to this strength. It's got to show that it resembles the battlefields of old better than 2042 does now. 2042 shows a ton of just shiny objects to a bunch of barracudas chomping at the bit. A lot of engine changes, levolution, explosions, gadgets. World War III has got to align itself with what Battlefield used to be. Not the shiny toys, but the modern infantry combat we remember. A time where vehicles were present, but a majority of the game was played as infantry. Boots on the ground. This has got to be the route they go here to show the game can scratch an itch, because while this is really cool, this isn't the Battlefield people resonate with. Because here's what I think is going to happen. Some people are going to be very disappointed with this new Battlefield because it's just too much. It's not what they remember, and it's just got too many bells and whistles and additions that they really weren't expecting, they really weren't hoping for. I've got a whole video that talks about this and how nostalgia is going to ruin the game for some people because 2042 just can't live up to that. That's the crowd that's going to be willing to give World War III a trial run, and that's where they can really get them hooked. Couple this with the absolutely incredible customization that World War III can offer, and that's a recipe for success. Customization, boots on the ground, those are the two keys to the marketing campaigns. Okay, now on to the tough one, the release date. When do they release the game? What is the optimal point to release the game at this point? At what point won't it get overshadowed by Battlefield? If you release the game before 2042's release, let's say they release it here in a couple months, you beat them to the punch for a modern shooter experience. However, once 2042 releases, you may lose a lot of your player base, and we know what happens when that falls too quickly. So a launch after 2042's is certainly preferable. Like I just mentioned, the best way to get people into the game is to grab people that are disappointed by Battlefield. So I believe there are two great options here. The first is to release a month after Battlefield. This will take those disgruntled players and bring them into the fold. From there, the growth occurs little by little and more as people want to try something different. I would bet this is an effective strategy if they're adamant on releasing in 2021, though it's not as effective as this next one. Spring 2022. Yes, I know, that's a long ways away, and I really don't want to wait that long, but I think the best chance of success is spring. Because look, next year is going to be a drag for shooters. The next Call of Duty is rumored to be a World War II shooter or something like that. That's going to be an absolute dud after the epic customization that players are used to now with the modern worlds. So that leaves a huge opening in the market for a new modern shooter. At the same time, the Battlefield bug will likely be wearing off for some. So this time frame, I believe, would facilitate not just a strong launch, but stronger growth over the rest of the year and beyond, especially those people, again, disappointed by Call of Duty. I think either way the game will grow in popularity as it garners more and more attention for its complex system in a free-to-play title. I think this is probably going to be the best free-to-play game on the market, but spring 2022 is probably the best possible release date for this game, unfortunately. Alright, those are just some of my thoughts in regards to marketing and how this game stacks up. I'm hopeful. But of course, I think I mentioned this before, I'm biased. The game is very special to me. It's the game that started this channel, so obviously I want this to succeed because I have a special connection to it. So that could be clouding my judgment a little bit. I'm also just some therapist that works in a bunch of nursing homes, so I'm not well versed in marketing or anything like that, but I do know a lot about people's behaviors and the modern day attention span, so I feel like my reasoning here is at least consistent with human behavioral patterns. What do you guys think? I know World War III can bring in some very strong opinions, so sound off down below. For me, I will certainly be playing both. I don't think I'll bring a whole lot of Battlefield onto this channel unless the videos do incredibly well or they have some sort of highly tactical mode. As a full-time worker, I can't keep up with the AAA update videos. It's just not possible. I'd want to, not possible. Of course, you could always subscribe and help me become a full-time YouTuber and streamer, but you know, no pressure. Thanks for watching, my dudes. If you're still here, you're a true hero, and I appreciate you. You're important and you matter. And until the next one, stay tactical.